welcome everybody back to the Trade Squad. We are on episode 7 and we've had so much great feedback in 2019. We can't wait to start off 2020 with a bang, and we are, because the topics that we're talking about today are pretty hot topics, and I think we're going to get into a little debate today. So I want to obviously welcome back Audrey. Hopefully Leah will join us in the rest of the episode a little bit later on. And I want to introduce you to Tony. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Tony. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get to know you before we start the debates?
Thank you, Sarah, for having me. My name's Tony Gordon. I'm currently a Director of Supply Chain Solutions with the Top Ocean Group. I like to say, well, maybe not like to say that I'm long in the tooth in our industry. I started my career way back when, won't give you time frames, with a company called Flying Tigers, which has now evolved to Fedex. From there, my first manager job, going to the other side of the desk, was with Newsweek magazine. Went from Newsweek to TJX, where I managed their fashion distribution in New York. Went from there to Scholastic Publishing, where I set up their global supply chain. From there to Staples, where I felt my management career had stalled. And so I said, well, I'll go into sales and make a lot of money. I had to learn how to sell, had to learn the product. I like telling people that, I expect all my colleagues who sat on the other side of the desk where I sat were going to give me business. It didn't work that way. I enjoy sales. I've been there ever since with companies like Panalpina, Kuehne+Nagel, GAC Logistics. So that's where the long in the tooth comes from. But that's me.
Awesome. Well, we are really excited to have you here, and I think you're going to bring a lot to the discussion. So let's get started with the first topic. So we are talking about the Amazon effect and how it continues. Recently, Amazon bans sellers from using FedEx Ground, and I want to talk about sort of the repercussions from that and the future. I know that recently on my listeners' corner over at Let's Talk Supply Chain on LinkedIn, I was asking what everyone's counterintuitive, crazy predictions were for the next 5 years of supply chain. And some people were even saying Walmart might buy FedEx just to compete. So what are your thoughts? What do you think about Amazon banning FedEx? I know that FedEx kind of pulled out originally early 2019 in some respects, so this was kind of the last shot at that. But what were some of the repercussions? Did you see anything, and what do you think about the future? Audrey, you want to start?
Sure. I think it's like every client relationship. I think we're kind of seeing the outside picture of Amazon and FedEx's relationship development, and you know, when you have someone who's like such a behemoth like Amazon, it's you, of course, want to be like, yes to this customer. Yes, this is going to be great. And maybe it wasn't the fit that Amazon and FedEx thought it would be. And, you know, potentially FedEx, you know, didn't, where they were going and where Amazon was going just wasn't lining up. And Amazon may have wanted more control, bringing it back in-house, and FedEx just may not have been interested jumping through the hoops. So it's been interesting from an outsider's perspective, kind of seeing this, you know, these two giant companies kind of, you know, having this kind of showdown.
Have a little duke out.
Yeah, kind of have a little duke out, but also it does, the repercussions, you know, then ripple through the rest of the industry, because yeah, Walmart, you know, might be, if they're second to Amazon in kind of sales and strategy for increasing customers and those types of, you know, the same type of product market. Then a partnership with FedEx would be kind of the next step. And then, yeah, how does it affect everyone else who's the traditional player in the industry, with Amazon being such a disruptor really for everyone? So it'll be interesting to see what shakes out.
Well, before Anthony weighs in, I'm going to give a little bit because I did a little research on this. And so there was some numbers that came out of the research. So one of the reasons why Amazon they gave for banning FedEx was delivery performance. They were too slow for prime deliveries. And especially right before Christmas, I think they were worried that FedEx wasn't going to be able to deliver products before Christmas. And that's why it's a temporary ban. But then I think they're also wondering if they should make it permanent. And Amazon, even though they said it was a temporary ban, has now said that it will be in play until delivery performance has been improved. But in Black Friday sales or deliveries, what they showed was UPS was at 92.7% on-time delivery rate. FedEx was at 90.4 and Amazon was at 93.7 according to ShipMatrix data. That's not a lot of percentage. I mean, we're talking about a difference of what, like 2%, maybe under 2%? I don't know. What do you think, Anthony?
Well, thinking about Amazon, it's funny that was just Christmas. We just got the Christmas holiday, we just got by that. And there's always returns. Found out you can return Amazon products to J.C. Penney. You can return to several other retailers, and they'll take it from you. Also, Amazon. People think you're getting a product from Amazon, but it could be coming from a third-party, supplier direct to you. So that may skew that 93% up. I'm just saying, are they comparing apples to apples there? I think Amazon is doing some phenomenal things, but you can be a jack of all trades and master of none too. Where is it going to give? Is it going to give them the retail side of it, how they deal with a customer related to the retail end of it? They can't do everything. I don't. Well, they are, but how successful will they continue to be? Because with 93%, they are successful. If they're involved, they have their fingers in everything. Like videos, they have it. Our industry's changing because of them. But I just don't know if they will be able to continue to provide the quality service, delivery service they're looking for without support.
Yeah, and it's spoken like a true freight forwarder, right? When we're acting as a freight forwarder and we're talking to customers about, whether they're going to go with us for a shipment or whether they're going to go with somebody else for a shipment, we're always asking that question. Are you comparing apples to apples? Is this a fair comparison?
Exactly.
And so I think you're right. I don't know what went into the ShipMatrix data, so I don't know what they are comparing, but I would hope that they would be comparing apples to apples. But in reality, we really don't know. So are they just under 2% different? Is it because it is the third party sellers and, there's issues on maybe the front end. Maybe there's issues on the back end. Maybe there's issues with the par coding. Maybe there's issues with the address. Maybe, you know what I mean? With third party sellers, you sometimes maybe even the labels aren't correct. Or maybe the product isn't correct. I mean, Amazon isn't picking and packing everything, right? And so, what actually goes into this matrix data to really show that they're off their performance by just under 2%? And what does that mean, right? And, I just worry that somebody, like you said, a behemoth like Amazon, having this kind of power over a FedEx, being able to dictate to their shippers who they should and shouldn't ship with. I mean, what if you don't have an account with somebody else? And, it's Christmas time. You don't have a lot of time to pivot. You're already inundated. You're a small to medium-sized business. You've got your, 100 hats on. All of a sudden, you're banned from using the one carrier that you use. Then what? So is Amazon really any different? They've just caused you 2 days of chaos,
That's a good point.
right?
That's a real good point. I don't think they should be dictating terms to their suppliers. I think it could be a financial issue too. I mean, what are the costs involved in using that service? You know, what's going to be more cost effective for them to use? One more point. I don't want to take too much time up. Is that, you know, what type of service are we talking about? Are we talking about the next day service? Are we talking about same day service? Are they measuring? You talk about Walmart. Let's talk about Manhattan, New York. You know, a millennial friend of my daughter from Harvard set up a bicycle delivery service that grew into, you know, a package delivery service with messengers. Walmart bought that from him 6 months ago for $1.5 million.
Wow.
So they can service this is Manhattan, not many of the other boroughs, but that's how maybe aggressive Walmart. Hey, if we can service Manhattan, which is a strong metropolitan area, they open up a Walmart in Manhattan. Whoever thought that would happen? You know, a lot of things are changing. The dust has to settle, particularly with Amazon, what they want to do, how they do it, and if it's going to be, you know.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point about price, right? If
Yeah.
FedEx is my carrier of choice and I have rates with FedEx and you ban me from using FedEx right before Christmas, then my costs go up because I have to go and find somebody else that doesn't know me. I have to set up an account and I don't have any history with them. And so my delivery costs go up. How much? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're right or wrong, or if it, you know, I didn't hear too much about the repercussions, but I can only imagine from the small to medium size, you know?
But maybe it's only the Amazon warehouses and maybe not the individual sellers, because they're allowed to use like everyone from Post to UPS. So maybe it's specifically Amazon warehouse, and maybe it's specifically on the Prime deliveries that are the same day, because they're guaranteeing, like in urban centers in the US, like Chicago and you know, Manhattan, New York, they're guaranteeing like it'll be there. If you place your order before 9 a.m. that day, it'll be there same day, which is maybe just not feasible for a company like FedEx. They just may not have the urban network. And if they're still driving, you know, if you look at their transportation network, they're still driving those kind of trucks that we all see that go around. That's one thing in a business park like where I am out in the suburbs of Toronto, that fits. But when you're in downtown Manhattan, you know, you're not going to send these big trucks around. So, you know,
What are you going to do?
these bike delivery services, or, you know, I know DHL in Europe, they're moving for climate reasons and for local delivery improvements. They're moving towards like electric bikes, you know, kind of these, you know, more small, you know, transportation services that aren't these big trucks that just can't fit and can't manage the deliveries.
Well, the ban was on, from what I read, was on the third-party sellers.
Really?
So that means that you're not, from what I understand, you're not warehousing with Amazon. You're fulfilling it yourself.
That sucks.
But it's being bought through Amazon. So anything being bought through Amazon, they weren't allowed to use FedEx. So that's where I get a little bit uncomfortable with that, right? Because who can really dictate? And I'm going to bring up another good point, because when I did my research, on December 6th, the Amazon senior VP tweeted that they were experiencing delivery problems due to weather that week. So if they aren't perfect, who are they to dictate? And are the expectations moving forward really even reasonable? Like, do we need to change some of those buyer expectations? I mean, it's great to get it in one day, but not everybody can do that. And the cost of it is enormous. Like, that means that the cost of product or your cost of delivery is just going to go up exponentially.
Well, it's completely unrealistic to expect that delivery drivers, FedEx, UPS, DHL, whoever, you know, I mean, I'm up here in Canada. If it's a bad weather day, I'm not going to go out. I don't want, my colleagues or employees going out. So why would I want a delivery truck driver going out to bring me my pack? Like, people have gotten into this weird, like, my book that I ordered on Amazon is like more important than the safety of a driver. Like, I think we've completely lost the context of how the person aspect, the human aspect of how these things get to you.
Yes.
And even not to dig at Amazon further, but there's a lot in the news about their worker conditions at their own warehouses, like how they treat their sellers is clearly an issue. So like, I think there's a lot going on that, there's maybe some room for improvement in 2020, but the ripple effects of the consumer just being so blind that it's like, I can't believe my package didn't deliver same day. And you're like, it's a blizzard outside. Be realistic, like have some concern for your fellow person.
For your fellow people. Well, and also, like, if you think about Canada, like, sometimes we can't even reach people that live in certain parts.
Yeah.
Could you imagine same day? I mean, maybe with a drone eventually one day, we're kind of talking about that, but same day to delivery to, I don't know.
But what do you need same day?
Oh, yeah.
Toothpaste. What if you run out of toothpaste? I don't know.
It's. I talked to a Amazon driver one day. I'm an early bird, and I go to the gym early at 5 o'clock, and I see an Amazon driver. I go, well, you started early. He goes, you got to start early to finish your run. I saw that same driver at 10 o'clock at night. He says, if I don't make these deliveries, I don't make money. We've all heard the stories about, Amazon and that push, how they push their people, and where has the human aspect gone? Is this where we're headed? I mean, everything instant with the internet, and I want this here yesterday, and whatever goes with making that happen. I agree with you, Audrey. I just think I don't need anything that bad that I need same day or overnight. I can wait.
Yeah, we talk about the sustainability aspect and the environment, and we talk about going to electric vehicles and going to electric bikes, but we're not thinking or necessarily talking about the human effect that this Amazon, culture is having, not only on us as people, but on the people that are actually delivering the goods and being pressured to pick and pack, and the whole supply chain that goes along with us wanting to have it right now, and this like immediate gratification culture.
Yeah.
So I am just going to leave that topic on this one, and we're going to go into the next one.